So, hello everyone. We're happy to have you here today on this webinar about the ERP, the missing link to your efficiency. So today the webinar is going to be a continuous presentation without any breaks. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please do feel free to write them in the chat and one of our moderators will be able to answer you. If ever you have any questions that are more precise, I will have a question time at the end of the meeting. If ever you want to go deeper into any of those topics or want to go have a broader view about all of the different systems, we can also book a meeting together so we can actually go deeper for your business. So today I'm going to be your host. I'm Kevin Martin. I am a solution advisor at Cienapps. I've been working with the woodworking industry for now many years, and this gives me the leverage to better understand the woodworking industry, woodworkers, what's their view, what's their needs, and to help them as much as I can. So just for starters, I'm going to start by making the analogy about about an ERP. An ERP is like a human brain. So all of us currently are in the meeting together, and I'm sure that none of us are currently thinking that I need to breathe, right? It's a little bit the same thing as the ERP. It's going to centralize all of the information so that everything coordinates itself as smoothly as possible, where you're going to be able to actually take the actions that add value to your business. Like the human brain, you're going to take the action that actually needs implication. So why use an ERP? A little bit like I just said, having an ERP, it's all about aiming for peak efficiency, taking the right actions at the right time so that way you can really unlock your company's full potential. A question that I'm asked very frequently is how big does a company need to be to benefit from an ERP? Well, the question is not really about how big it needs to be. It's about what is the vision? Where do you want to go? Where do you see your business in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 15 years? What do you really want to accomplish that would require better processes? So having that done is going to be by actually finding the right way to have the right system to help you obtain those objectives. Just to give you an example, having a business where you are three people. So we have some clients that are only three people and that run our ERP. In other cases, we have some that are 150 people and that do also run our ERP. It's all about being able to have the right mindset. Where do you want to go and what do you need to solve as challenges to be able to get there? So just a quick statistic. Did you know that 82% of small and mid-sized businesses use ERP system nowadays and report significant value in using them? So why use ERP like Cienapps, which is tailored for the woodworking industry? Well, Cienapps will help you structure your different process within your business. So the right process are structured, you are able to then have the right information for all of those processes, which means you'll have the right KPI, to drive the right decisions. Having all of those KPIs means you have all of the information centralized in one place, so you don't have to retranscribe all of the information moving from one department to another, which will also allow you to have a proactive forecasting and scheduling of your different processes. So if you have the right data, then with the right data, you are able to see tendencies. You are able to see what will each of your job go through within your manufacturing process. You can also know what's going to be the next steps. So all of that will be viewed and will be clearer when you have all of the right data. You'll also have clear task assignment. So if you're able to schedule ahead, you're also able to assign tasks ahead so that everybody knows what they have to do when to have the best growth as possible and to create continuous improvement. It's also going to allow you to have a controllable and scalable growth. So one of the things that even for the bigger companies or that the stronger ones that do scale very, very fast, you need to be able to control that scale, right? So you want to control that growth so that way it won't solve you for disaster, right? So if you have an uncontrollable growth, then that means that you probably won't be able to deliver. If you're not able to deliver, your client won't be happy, and then that's going to end in disaster for your company. So here we're going to have a quick look at some of the different modules of the ERP. You also need to know that to this we can also add a design software, a CPQ, so a pricing quote in configure price quote system to be able to have the pricing for configurable items, and of course connect with the business link, which is all external to the ERP. On the ERP side, we have all of those different 9 modules where you can manage your sales, your project, your scheduling, your production, your procurement, shipping, installation, and of course, accounting. Now, today we're going to see only the sales, project, and scheduling modules at a high level. So the first one would be the sales. So the whole goal of the sales is actually to have the right information around your customer. So really to centralize all of the information related to one specific customer all together. Which quotes did he ask from you? Which projects does he have ongoing? Which work orders? Which materials? Which tasks? And so forth. So all to have all of that in one place. To also efficiently manage all of your quotes. So if you have all of your quotes in one place, you're able to know what status they're all in. You're also able to see which one are past or overdue or are coming close to that past and overdue date, so you can take the right action to try and close them faster. You can also track all of your sales opportunities in one place to again make sure that you don't lose any of those. You can also coordinate with production so that way the date that you promised reflects the reality. And of course, monitor sales performance using the right KPIs. So I'll start by explaining a small case where we have different action that seem not that important, but that actually have a big impact. So one of our clients had multiple designers. They were actually creating their quotes based out of an Excel spreadsheet, shared Excel spreadsheet. They were then having a shared drive to put all of the customer information in there, such as the drawings, phone numbers, email contacts, delivery address, all of that, right? They were all centralizing this. 2 different tools, which actually worked pretty well until one of the designers went for vacation for 2 weeks. So then during those 2 weeks, the world did not stop, right? Everything was still moving forward. But then you have one of the client that gives a call. The call bounces back to another designer. Then that other designer knew very little about that project. When was the last time that it was quoted actually? Whose client is this exactly? So where does he come from? What's the status? What was the last communication? So all of that was a little bit lost into everything going around. And then you have to scramble to be able to find all of that information, which costs time, which costs money, and maybe impact the final decision about that case. Now, another element is that client wanted to know when was the promise date. So then the designer cannot actually know the promise date because they have a standard lead time. That standard lead time actually was about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, which seemed fine. But the reality was that they also had an opening for something in 2 weeks for melamine, not for hardwood. For hardwood, it would have been 10 weeks. But to know that, the designer needed to go see the production coordinator, and the production coordinator would look at his whiteboard and then would say, all right, this week I have this, that, and move forward like this, trying to move everything around in his head, looked at his crystal ball, did a little bit of magic that only he does know, and then would go back to the designer and tell the designer to say, all right, perfect. Now I can promise you X date, which was a little bit like sorcery, right? Now, finally, at the end of the month, the sales director needed to review all of the KPIs that he had with his team. So now he just brings all of those Excel spreadsheets together, tries to have all of the data together, and then try to figure out, all right, perfect, what's going to be our sales in the next month? What are the sales that we've done in this month? Trying to view all of the clients and all of those information. And he needed to really rely on how diligent were his designers because he wasn't sure if they've done their job right all of the time. Most of the time, for sure. All of the time, nobody knows. So that was a big challenge for that company. So having an efficient sales process would impact turnaround time. It would also impact pricing, right? If you don't have the right pricing, it's going to create errors. If you create errors in pricing, you're not as competitive with your other competitors. And of course, that would bring dissatisfied customers. If you promise a date and you're not able to hit that date, and you're truly the one responsible about it, your clients won't be as happy as they should. So having a poor quoting process can impact in a 10 to 20% drop in conversion rate, which can actually make the difference between a company that attains its goals and one that actually is a lot lower than their goals. So having the right data to take clear and actionable actions, right, will have a big impact on the company. It's going to create the difference between having an optimized production and having a customer that is dissatisfied, having a shop that runs full time and one that has breaks. It will also create the difference between having an increase in profitability. It's all about the sales, right? The sales at one point, it's really the oxygen of the company. If you don't have enough oxygen to breathe, then you have a hard time improving all of the rest. So another question, that one is a little bit related to the sales, but it's mostly related to the whole company. So if you're able to tell your profit margin on each and single one of your project, you can have a better aim on what's going to be your real growth. So underestimating true project cost for sure will impact growth and create growth limitation. It's going to also create poor strategic decisions, right? So you really want to have an idea or a clear idea of what you're actually making on each and single one of those projects. Because maybe you're going to then realize that in some cases, you shouldn't do any of those kinds of project anymore because you're only making a 5% margin against another one that you're making 20, 25% margin. That is what you're aiming for, right? So with the sign up sales module, now it's all about streamlining the whole sales process. It's about making data-driven decisions in real-time data and track the profitability of every single project that is happening in your business. The second module we're going to be discussing about today is going to be the project management module. So the whole goal of the project management is to centralize the information around the project. So in most cases, you'll have multiple quotes for one project. You might have also multiple work order for the same project. You want to centralize all of that in one place so you can have your real cost of revenue on all of those projects separately and also in real time. So having real-time progress tracking as well will give you an idea of how fast is your business rolling. Having cross-department coordination, also really important not to run around from everywhere and manage your different resources. So That will also help forecast and plan for the future of the company. So another little case here that we're going to have, it's going to be about the project management. So following from the previous one, the designer sold his project, he pops the champagne, everybody's happy. Now he has to take all of the information for his project, put it in a folder. So the plans are going in, the contacts are going in, all of the information, emails, and so forth, all going in that big file that he keeps preciously. Now he's going to take that file and go see his a project manager and gives that to the project manager. Project manager then takes that document and breaks it all apart. Now he has to know, all right, perfect, and does all of the little tasks. Calls one of his installer, go on site please, and make the site measurements according to the project. Make sure that all of that information is correct. Takes back all of that, gives it to the engineer. The engineer then does all of his job of redoing the whole project. So having all of that information transcribed from one place to another and from another one to another one. And then you also have to take all of the departments and gives them all the right tasks. So you have to purchase the material then, you have to start production at that time, and so forth. Now, what would happen is then time will pass a little bit, doing all of that hands-on and manual tedious task took probably 1 to 3 days to be able to make that happen. And of course, when you'll have the GC that would give a call and say, I'm sorry, but we're pushing out 2 weeks, you have to move every single thing in the project. So the benefits of centralizing processes around projects, it's to actually give better cross-department coordination, to of course save significant amounts of times. So imagine if you could simply change the date at one place, and now all of the following tasks are scheduled at the right time again. It's just a matter about centralizing. Of course, it's going to give you a cost control and increase the profitability. Because if you're doing it manually, of course, at one moment, well, you're going to forget something. Nobody's perfect. So having the availability to actually you just change one date, forgetting to change one date, it's a lot, it's a longer stretch than actually having to change it for different departments and hoping that everybody will do the job at the right time and not forget it. It will also give real-time project visibility because the task advancing will actually show. You'll have efficient inventory and purchasing management because, of course, now you can actually plan according to not only one project, but all of the projects for the company at the same time. So then you have a smarter workload planning for everybody. And of course, you have a centralized documentation and history of all of the tasks that have been done. So companies using an ERP to manage project-related data have seen a 40% reduction in administrative errors related to human resources. So that's a whole lot on here. So as of now, we've looked into the cells and into the project already. So with the project, you're able to schedule, of course. You're also able to do your purchasing, see where it's the production at, relate that to shipping, make sure that every component was shipped at the right time. Of course, figure out if the installation has been done appropriately and if you have pictures attached to it. And finally, make sure that everything was invoiced. So with the ERP project management module, you centralize all key project information and coordinate the tasks on the timeline across all of the departments. So that gives seamless execution of the projects. On the production planning now, pretty close to the previous one, but now we're more looking at production only. So the objective of the project planning is to schedule production orders, optimize resource utilization, manage priorities and deadline, of course, align production with inventory level, monitor production status, and so forth. So having a production that actually schedule itself. That's the whole goal. So you assign a workflow to a work order that then creates different tasks with different times. So that way everything is linked together. So here, our last case. I know that having all of those cases in some points, some people will really refer to them. Others will say, "I've already solved those problems." Maybe not, but that's the last one for today. So let's say you're the project production coordinator. Each and single day, you get into the room with all of your guys. Everybody's sitting in front of the whiteboard. Now you assign the task to everybody in the morning. We're still in the morning. You have to assign those tasks to everybody. Everybody says, perfect, let's go. Today we're going to have a great day. Now everybody would go to their station and start working. 10 minutes later, you get a call. Your supplier said, I'm not able to have your bundle of white melamine today. Well, shoot, I plan to do the production of that at 10. So you have to then go see your guys with your sheet of paper. All right, we're going to move that around. You're going to have only the melamine tomorrow. Then another one calls. You have the GC that gives a call. All right, we're going to push out job X for 2 weeks. Then that was one that we're going to start in another hour. So you have to move everything around all the time. That means that actually the production coordinator is only putting out fires. He's not a production coordinator. He's a firefighter. That's what he's doing. He's just running around and trying to stop those fires. So, what if we could imagine that the production coordinator could install himself behind his computer and simply manage all of the tasks? And when he moves one, everybody now is updated and knows which tasks he needs to do because he can see the percentage of advancement of each task that are ongoing. He can also see what are the other tasks that will be done. If he moves one out, then everything will come back in and all of the other subsequent tasks will move again. So now it's a lot easier to schedule ahead. It's a lot easier to have an idea of what's going to happen next. And also, a very important part is where is going to be my bottleneck today? Most of you probably already know what a bottleneck is, but just in case. In the woodworking industry, the game of the bottleneck is at a whole other level because everybody's doing custom, everybody's doing a lot of different tasks throughout the whole business. It's very complicated and everything moves around. So maybe that today the bottleneck is the CNC, but maybe tomorrow it's going to be assembly. The other day it's going to be the edge. So it really depends on what is going to happen and where's the bottleneck created. So fortunately, you cannot eliminate the bottleneck. When you remove one, it's just going to move to the next place. So the whole game of the bottleneck in the woodworking industry is actually to create a rhythm. And by creating that rhythm, you create harmony across the whole business. And that's when your shop will actually sing. So negative impacts of the bottleneck. Probably I would ask every single one of you, you would be able to name them. But it's all about missing the delivery deadlines. It's about having employees that are waiting for a task. I've heard at one point there was an employee for one of our customers that was actually sitting beside the CNC waiting for the sheets to arrive. Another one was sitting by his station at the assembly. And now you can see that there was that flow that was completely broken. And now more it was moving forward, more everything was stopping and more people were actually now waiting for the problem to be resolved. So moving forward, you need to solve that bottleneck and make sure that it always runs so you have no employees that are waiting for their tasks. So if you have a rhythm made into your whole shop, and you see where the problem is the most often, then you can actually optimize it to make sure that your bottleneck will not stop your shop. Because each time that your shop is stopped, it's money that you will never be able to regain. It's a cost of opportunity lost forever. So having the right information will also give you the idea to identify the real bottlenecks in real time, balance the workload, track actual versus planned production time, and simulate production scenario to actually optimize your workflow and reduce your downtime. Maybe you thought you needed to add another CNC, but maybe the real life is you need to add another table at assembly. Having the right information will give you the right decision. So what the Cienapps production planning module delivers is real-time visibility into your production status, early detection and resolution of bottlenecks, smarter and more efficient workflows that boost your profitability. So in conclusion, today we've seen only 3 out of the 9 different modules that we have. If we want to go a little bit deeper, it would be my pleasure to have a meeting with you directly so we can actually better understand your business and better understand which different module or how a system could actually help you. And that way we could go in the real depths of your company and view it with our different solutions.